Happy Sunday morning, boys and girls. It's your old pal Andy France, the Grand Poobah of Judson Sunday School. Welcome back to another episode of Virtual Judson Sunday School. Did you know that it was 1 year ago today that Judson Sunday School went virtual for the very first time? So, happy anniversary. I'm sure you do know that the word anniversary means the date on which an event happened in a previous year. And so for many people, perhaps your parents, celebrating an anniversary is celebrating the day they got married. So every year on that day, they look back on the life they built together, which includes you, and then they get all lovey-dovey, and then they give each other presents. So, it's our first anniversary together. What did you get me? Videos? Lovely. I love your videos. I can't wait to see them. What did I get you? Well, because it's our first pandemic anniversary, I spared no expense. How about some handy wipes? Now, if we were actually married, I would be in the doghouse right now, because this is sort of the equivalent of buying your wife a vacuum cleaner, which you do not do on an anniversary. But I will say in my defense that these aren't just any handy wipes. This is the good stuff. I got you the Lysol disinfectant handy wipes, not any of those cheapo wipe-out handy wipes that line the shelves of my Gristedes anyway. Nothing's too good for you on this, our first anniversary. So, I remember on our very first episode of Virtual Judson Sunday School that I read you a story. It Could Always Be Worse by Margot Zemock. Do you remember this story by any chance? It's about a peasant who's living in a hut. A peasant is like a poor man, living in a hut with his mother and his wife and his 6 kids. And it's so crowded and it's so noisy that the man's going crazy. So what does he do? He goes to visit his rabbi, and he asks the rabbi what he should do. Well, the rabbi tells him, "Do you have any animals?" And he says, "Yes, I do." "Why don't you bring those animals into your hut?" And so over the course of several weeks, he brings the animals into the hut with him and his wife and his mother and his 6 kids. Chickens and a rooster and a goose and a goat and finally a cow. Well, after all these weeks with all the animals, the man's going crazy. It's really noisy now, and it's so crowded and you can't breathe any fresh air in there. So he runs back to the rabbi, and in his best Batman voice, he says, "Holy Rabbi, help me, save me. It's the end of the world. There's no room even to breathe, and it's worse than a nightmare in there." And so what does the rabbi do? He tells the man to take the animals outside again. The man runs home. He takes the cow out, the goat, the goose, the rooster, the chickens, and all of a sudden, it's great. It's peaceful inside his home. So he goes back to the rabbi to thank him, and he says, "Holy Rabbi, you have made life so sweet for me. With just my family and the hut, it's so quiet, it's so roomy, it's so peaceful. What a pleasure." Perspective, kids. Sometimes life is how we view it. A year ago, we had no idea just how great our lives really were, nor did we have any inkling of what was really coming our way. That's certainly true of Judson Sunday School, where we thought this whole pandemic thing would last like a couple of weeks tops. So we decided to do virtually what we've always done in the classroom, which is to try and have some fun talking about God and values, the kind of values God would have us live, such as love and empathy, which is that being able to identify with someone else's feelings. We talked about gratitude, being thankful, and respect. And so with love and empathy and gratitude and respect, after that we began to read poetry together. We told some jokes. I'm still laughing at Charlotte's joke. And the Lord said, "Come forth, John, and you shall receive eternal life." But John came fifth and won a toaster. That joke cracks me up a year later. We looked for joy in the midst of this growing despair that was the pandemic. So, perhaps you remember Jude's video, the epitome of joy. It's raining toilet paper. Or the flip side, the anguish on Cyrus's face when his dad Joel returns empty-handed. Josh Wolf got the last roll. The pandemic continued on through the spring. And so, like people have been doing for thousands of years, we turned to the Psalms for comfort. We read some Psalms out of this book, Psalms for Young Children. Here's one that I love in particular, Psalm 69. When I am sad, it feels like I'm underwater, like I'm stuck in the mud or at the bottom of a dark hole. Pull me from this dark place, God. Save me. I need your help. We celebrated Easter together, with me wearing that ridiculous Easter bonnet. I think eggs are still falling off that goofy hat. Kids' Day went virtual for the first time ever. And then we got to celebrate Pride Sunday together with a trip to the Stonewall Inn, a talk about the birds and the bees, and Mr. and Mrs. Tom Hanks, if you remember. The summer came along, time for a break, although the pandemic showed no signs of slowing down. And as the summer ended, we also realized that man's hatred for his fellow man was showing no signs of stopping either. And so in the fall, when we got back together, we talked about diversity and racism and white privilege and how Black lives matter. And with every virtual Judson Sunday School episode, our toy collection grew and grew and grew. We have dinosaurs, and we have Two-Face, and there's Homer Simpson, the good angel Homer Simpson, and the donut that was tempting that camel in that episode. We've got Cupid's bow and arrow. We've got the birds and the bees from our Pride Sunday. There's Joe Biden. There's Kamala Harris and the arms of Build-A-Bear. Remember why we went with Build-A-Bear? Because all those games of Hangman, they don't look so good on video. You know what I mean? And why is that? Because video is forever. One of the lessons the Grand Poobah has learned over the course of this year. We've got Jesus on the top of this mountain with the evil Homer Simpson. We've got Barbies coming out of our ears. We've got the original swimsuit Barbie. We've got Ella Fitzgerald, the great Ella Fitzgerald for our jazz talk. Remember learning about Ibtihaj Muhammad when we talked about diversity, the first Muslim Barbie and our Olympic fencing champion. And then, of course, we've got all these other dolls like Joe Gardner. Joe? That's him. That's Joe Gardner. We've got racing flags from our racing track. We've got, what was this number here? Let me see. What is 22? Was that it? I don't remember.
What can I say? Earth is boring. It's all eat, drink, poop. Eat, drink, poop.
Oh, I'm so glad she said eat, drink, poop on video. Thank you so much. And of course, one of my favorite dolls. Oh, don't get me started on Moana here, okay? All right, stop singing. And of course, last but not least, there's old Walter the farting dog. Oh, Walter, that is disgusting. It has been a year. It has been a long year, perhaps the longest year of our lives. When I look back on this year, I will remember all of these things, the lessons and the toys and the goofy outfits. But one thing that kept me going, sustained me, were your videos. Getting to see you guys again, because It's been a year since we've seen each other in person. So let me ask you this. What's up? How are you? What have you been doing lately? What have you been thinking about? What has this last year been like for you?
I have a nice life here and I can go on my swing.
Where do you live?
New Paltz.
Is there anything new this year that you like that you didn't know you liked before?
Mozzarella cheese.
What do you miss about Brooklyn?
I miss my house and the garden and my old friends, and I'm even forgetting them.
Oh, you're forgetting them. How?
I'm forgetting their names.
Really? If you could go back to Brooklyn right now, would you?
I could.
Which do you like better, Brooklyn or New Paltz?
Brooklyn.
What's better in Brooklyn than New Paltz?
Well, I have Sunday school, and I don't have that here.
What do you have here?
I have a nice playground and a swing.
What changed in my life is that I could now walk to school by myself with my mom staying at my house, and I don't need her to walk to school.
How has this year been? It kind of sucked. It sucked, yeah. But it could have been worse though. Like, Trump could have been reelected. Ah! God, the pain! No! Oh! It's okay.
This past year, I was doing online school. It was hard not seeing my friends in person, but the good things were that I got to spend a lot of time with my sister and my family, and we definitely grew closer. I have some friends who don't live in New York, and because of the pandemic, I got to see them online a lot. It was really difficult not going outside, but hopefully because more people are getting vaccinated and the weather is getting better, we can go outside again.
Hello, Sunday school. This year I learned what happens when I put a tree under my cat's nose. Ta-da!
Hi, Judson. I learned how to read someone's mind, and I am going to show Andy how it's done. Here, don't look at this piece of paper. What's 1 plus 1?
2,
What's 2 plus 2?
4,
What's 4 plus 4?
8,
What's 8 plus 8?
16,
Name a vegetable.
carrots.
Boom, I read her mind. I guessed carrot, and she guessed carrot. Last year was a good year, but I think this year's going to be a better year because it's a new year. That means new things might happen.
My name is Sebastian Funderburg. I'm 9 years old, but if you're watching this video, you probably already know that. I'm here to tell you something about something funny that happened over a pandemic. I could have said it for the treble one, but just didn't come to mind. Okay, so it was one of the first couple of times that I was able to hang out with my friends in a park, and I was super excited. We were all making a leaf pile together with a couple of kids we didn't even know, and then we all jumped in it and were having fun, when then one of the grown-ups supervising us was like, everybody stop. And then, because one of the kids that was playing around in the pile had like a lot of some animal's type of poop on his knee, and we were kind of scared that we all had it on us, and we think we all did. I can only speak for myself, but I immediately went home and took a bath. So yeah, that's my funny pandemic story. Thanks.
Thank you so much for those videos. I loved them. Charlotte, I know we can all identify with that desire to see our friends in person again. And Una and Phaedra and your cat, thank you for that video, those videos. Have you been taking magic lessons from the great Andini by any chance? Oliver, there's an old song. You'll never walk alone. Well, I guess you will. So congratulations. Let's see, what else did we get? We got Joali. Thank you so much for your optimism. And we got, we got some optimism from Cyrus. Things could always be worse. Cyrus and Margot Zemock are on the same page. Sebastian, I think I speak for everyone, at least in your home, when I say thank you, thank you, thank you for taking that bath. And finally, Madeline. Do you remember how here in the meeting room on Agape Sundays, and they say, well, all the kids come forward to the front, and so we all walk up to the front of the church here, and we stand there, and either Donna or Micah always says to us, they say something like, no matter where you go in life, always remember you have a home right here at Judson. So, Madeline, whether you're in Brooklyn or New Paltz or Timbuktu, Judson will always be your home, and Judson Sunday School will always be your Sunday school. Okay? Good. So, boys and girls, today is March 21st. We are smack dab in the middle of Women's History Month. And so to help me introduce our word of the day, I am thrilled to welcome one of my favorite superheroes. You know her from her work in The Incredibles and also in The Incredibles 2, where she is the star. Please help me give a warm virtual Judson Sunday School welcome to Mrs. Incredible, Helen Parr, better known as Elastigirl. So, Elastigirl is known for many things. Her total fearlessness, her innate desire to help other people, to save others, and her very protective instincts when it comes to her own kids, Violet, Dash, and little Jack Jack. As Helen Parr, perhaps she is like your own moms in that they're having to juggle different things at the same time, and they're always being pulled in different directions. But your moms can only dream that they have Elastigirl's superpower, which is elasticity, the ability to stretch various parts of her body in different directions at the same time, and how she's also able to morph into different shapes and sizes, like those times when she's turned into a parachute or into a boat, like in The Incredibles 2. Do you remember that scene where she's the boat and they're off to the island to help save her husband who's gotten himself into trouble? Well, Elastigirl can achieve superhuman levels of strength using her superpower, her elasticity. And it is that elasticity or her stretchiness that is at the heart of our word of the day, which is resilience. R-E-S-I-L-I-E-N-C-E. What does the word resilience mean? Well, resilience is the ability to withstand adversity or trouble and bounce back from difficult life events. It is the capability of withstanding some kind of a shock without permanent rupture or breaking. Resilience implies a toughness and elasticity. We are stretched by life, but we spring back into shape. 1 year into this pandemic, we have all been stretched in ways that we never could have imagined last March. Remote learning, working from home, Zoom, masks, washing your hands so often that they're raw and chapped, no social life whatsoever, keeping your distance from your family and friends, and everything we once knew as normal. And now, finally, a year later, there seems to be some good news on the horizon. People are getting vaccinated. I got vaccinated this morning, my first shot anyway. And there is some talk of returning to some kind of normalcy, perhaps as soon as the 4th of July. Now, when Elastigirl uses her superpowers, stretching to impossible lengths, she is always able to bounce back completely, 100%. By the look of her, you would never know the lengths to which she has been stretched out of all proportion. She is resilient, to say the least. I'm not sure if that will be true for all of us. I do think we will bounce back, but I wonder if there won't always be some little place that remains out of joint. A reminder of everything we've been through this past year. And I'll tell you this, I'm not sure that's such a bad thing to have to remember. I do think that time will help. I think what do they say about time? Time is the great healer. I think that our faith will help us bounce back. That idea that God has been with us today and yesterday through this entire pandemic. How did Jesus put it? He talked about the kingdom of God being inside you and inside me. That has certainly sustained me, kept me going this year. And I think love will help us. The love of family, the love of friends. I think love will help us find our old selves again. Or, if not our old selves, perhaps our new selves, our true selves. We have lost so much this year, but we have not lost love. And so, let me wrap up this lesson, speaking of love, with a poem. We read this poem back in March of last year. I think it was in our second episode. It's by someone who used to be a neighbor of Judson. He lived over on Patchen Place, which, if you remember, is that tiny little street near the Jefferson Market Library on 6th, the tall tower library there. Of course, I'm talking about E.E. Cummings. And the poem I want to leave you with today is, I carry your heart with me, I carry it in my heart. I carry your heart with me, I carry it in my heart. I am never without it. Anywhere I go, you go, my dear. And whatever is done by only me is your doing, my darling. I fear no fate, for you are my fate, my sweet. I want no world, for beautiful you are my world, my true. And it's you, or whatever a moon has always been, and whatever a sun will always sing, is you. Here is the deepest secret nobody knows. Here is the root of the root, and the bud of the bud, and the sky of a tree called life, which grows higher than soul can hope or mind can hide. And this is the wonder that's keeping the stars apart. I carry your heart. I carry it in my heart. So, boys and girls, sometimes I think that we think when we're younger that the story of our lives only goes one direction. The trajectory, the big fancy word for that, is that it's going to go up and up and up. Perhaps you're thinking, Well, first I'll go to elementary school, and then I'll go to middle school, and then I'll go to high school, and then college, and then maybe I'll get married, and I'll make $1 million, and I'll become world famous, and just up, 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 up. But that's not the way life works. There are all kinds of down, 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 downs, and there's turn left, and there's no road there, and there's dead ends, and there's U-turns, and there's, wait a minute, what's that? We have to back up. There's pandemics, for example, that just stop you in your tracks. And so you find that that trajectory can go this way or backwards, and then back up, and then a little downhill, and then a little uphill. And so that's life. That's the way our stories go. All of that backing and forth and all of those different directions, that's a part of our story as well, which our character in our today's story is about to find out. I don't know what this little guy is, but he's a cutie, and he's trying to write a story. And our story today is called A Perfectly Messed Up Story, and it's by Patrick McDonnell. Now, if Patrick McDonnell sounds familiar to you, it's because he's one of our favorite authors. He wrote The Monster's Monster. Do you remember that book with the big Frankenstein on the cover? We read it this past Halloween. He's the big monster that says, "Thank you." So, let's read A Perfectly Messed Up Story by Patrick McDonnell. Once upon a time, little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la-la, he sang. For in his heart, Louis knew everything was just, hey, hold on, what's that? He's giving it the old sniff test. Lick, lick. A jelly stain? How did that get there? This isn't right. Who would eat a jelly sandwich while reading my book? Plop. Jelly and peanut butter? Ugh! The chunky kind. Looks like it landed right on his head. Let me just make sure I'm getting the pages turned correctly, and I am. Hey, hey, hey! Somebody's fingerprints are all over this. Can you see the fingerprints along the book? Those aren't mine, by the way. Oh no, what's next? Orange juice. Ah, my story is getting all messed up. We need to show some respect here. Books are important. They teach us stuff and they inspire us. Now, can I please get on with my story? Thank you. Okay, from the top. Once upon a time, little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la. La? You have got to be kidding. This is awful. Quick, get a paper towel. There's the paper towel right there. Rub, rub, rub. Careful, careful. Ah! This is the worst thing ever. What am I going to do? Once upon a time, stop! Forget it. My story is ruined. It's all over. I'm just in a messy old book that will end up in some garage sale. A book no one will ever want, read, or love. I give up. Go on without me. This is Louis's story. Who cares? Once upon a time, little Louis went skipping merrily along. Tra-la-la-la-la, he sang. Oh, life was so much simpler back then. For in his heart, Louis knew everything was just what? Just what? Fine. Wow, everything is fine. I'm still here, you're still reading, and it is a pretty good story, messes and all. So, come on, let's finish this. This is Louis' story. I love it, and nothing is going to stop me. A perfectly messed up story. So kids, it's time to sing. We are singing Don't Fence Me In by Cole Porter this month. And we have learned the first part. And so what I will do today is sing through the first part, and then I'll teach you the rest of the song. There's not a whole lot to this song. And so if you've got your music ready, and I hope you do, let's go from the top in our picture version here. So it starts out on page 1. Oh, give me land, lots of land, under starry skies above. Turn the page. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Turn to page 3. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Turn to page 4. Send me off forever, but I ask you please, don't fence me in. So that much you know. So let's start on page 5 and go through the pictures. And and we'll learn the melody too. So this is sort of a bridge part of the song between the first verse and the last verse. And you have the Justice League. So you've got just turn me loose. He's lost a tooth. His teeth are falling out. Anybody lose a tooth lately? Besides me? Ugh, so old. Then you've got, so just turn me loose. Let us. There's let me. See that picture of the cowboy with the bow legs and the horse and the saddle? He's straddling my old saddle. So it's let me straddle my old saddle. You've got a kitten underneath the western. There's a western motif. Underneath the western sky. Turn the page 6. On the light switch, and a cayuse, on my cayuse. A cayuse was a name for an Indian pony. So on my cayuse, let me wander over yonder. I don't know that one. Do you know that movie? Is that a movie or a cartoon or just what that is? But I was lucky enough to find it. So on my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. See the sun rising? The rooster is looking at that, or maybe that's just a chicken. I don't know. Turn to page 7. You have a wanted poster and an I, so it's I want to ride to the ridge. You've got mountain ridges in that picture. I want to ride to the ridge. Where's Waldo? Where? The west. Now, here's one I'm proud of. You got the letter C and the letter O, so that together is co, and you got a box of Girl Scout Thin Mint cookies. And so, naturally, the word is commences. Gaze at the moon. This couple is gazing at the moon, and the moon appears to be gazing back at them. Gaze at the moon till the woman who's lost her dog, up her butt. Till I lose my senses. The 5 senses are sight, smell, hearing, tasting, and touch. So that's senses. So it's gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. Turn to page 8 for the end of the song. Giraffes can't dance. We use this for different words, but today it's can't. Can't look at. That is called a hobble. A hobble is something they used to put on horses' legs to keep them from wandering away. And why that's important in this song is this whole song is about wanting to be able to wander away. Don't fence me in. So this guy can't look at hobbles, and I can't, headstand, I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. So if we go back to page, what are we on, 5? I think it's 5. That's 3 and 2, so we'll just get rid of that so that I don't have to be confused, and we'll get rid of 1 and 2. The hardest part of the episode every week. 1 year of this. I still haven't gotten any better at it in 1 year. So this sounds like this, and then we'll sing it a second time, and you can try and join me. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. Try that with me. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. Turn the page. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. Try that. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. Page 7, it's back to that original verse sound. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. Page 8. Can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Let's do that much and then we'll call it a day on the singing of this song anyway. Page 5. Ready? Just turn me loose. Just turn me loose, let me straddle my old saddle underneath the western skies. Turn the page. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. Turn to page 7. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon till I lose my senses. Turn to page 8. Can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Thank you so much. Well, we've done it again, boys and girls. We've somehow managed to get through another episode of Virtual Judson Sunday School. As always, I want to thank Andre and Michelle for all of their help, not just today, but all year long. And I also want to thank you for being with me today, as well as all of the episodes over the past year. I thought we would go out today with a song that we went out with last spring. Do you remember the song by Bill Fay, the English composer, songwriter, called Be Not So Fearful? We sang it all last spring, and then we sang it at the end, I believe, of our Kids' Day service last June. Let's sing that together as we say goodbye for this episode. Remember, the first verse is by Bill Fay. It's be not so fearful, be not so frail. Remember, frail means weak or easily broken. There's someone watching you. She will not let you fail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail 2 times. Then we go, be not so nervous in these perilous times. Perilous means dangerous. Someone may look to you in search of the divine. There's that idea about how God lives inside each of us. And so maybe somebody's looking for that hope when they look at you. Be not so nervous in these times. Be not so nervous in these times. The third verse, be of good courage, you will prevail. You will triumph. You will overcome this pandemic. Be of good courage, you will prevail. The wind is quiet now, but soon will fill your sails. Be of good courage, you will prevail. Be of good courage, you will prevail. And then we'll repeat the first verse. All right? Again, this first verse is by Bill Fay. The second two are a little sort of like, well, I did those, so hopefully Bill Fay is going to forgive me one day for that. And parents, once again, this is one of my favorite songs by Wilco. So feel free and YouTube Wilco, Be Not So Fearful. Let's do it. You ready? 1, 2, here we go. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. There's someone watching you, she will not let you fail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. Be not so nervous in these perilous times. Someone may look to you in search of the divine. Here we go. Be not so nervous in these perilous times. Someone may look to you in search of the divine. Be not so nervous in these times. Be not so nervous in these times. Be of good courage, you will prevail. The wind is quiet now, but soon will fill your sails. Here we go. Be of good courage, you will prevail. The wind is quiet now, but soon will fill your sails. Be of good courage, you will prevail. Be of good courage, you will prevail. Let's go back to that first verse. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. Here we go. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. There's someone watching you, she will not let you fail. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. We'll sing this again. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. One last time. Be not so fearful, be not so frail. And with that, until we meet again, have a great week. Stay safe. Keep a place for this place, Judson, in your heart. And I'll see you next time on Virtual Judson Sunday School. Happy anniversary.